People were going through the State Department cables and the Pentagon materials released by Chelsea Manning through the WikiLeaks organization, and there was direct evidence of war crimes in Afghanistan, in Iraq. Okay, we didn't have direct war crimes from the WikiLeaks cables on Libya, but we had NATO war crimes in Afghanistan. We knew that the Swedish government decided to enter the NATO campaign so they could test weapon systems in Afghanistan. All of that through Chelsea Manning's, revelations, of the State Department and Pentagon materials. But they still have this huge feeling that the West only acts, the West enters wars to bring good, never for some bad purpose. And the reverse of that is the adversaries of the West are always savages. You see, that's the colonial mindset.
Back to where we're living now, people, especially those international students now in US facing racial discrimination and racial violence, people are really questioning whether what you hope the polycultural view is still approachable. MAGA fans, those Trump lovers, then the BLM supporters or far left Antifas, they want to show, at least to fake the facade of American hospitality, to show, we're the host here, so we're going to be friendly to you. We just share the same discrimination on you like the whites. I actually see the BLM supporters punching Stop Asian Hate marchers on the street. What do you think about that? Because people are really questioning whether the polyculture view, or we're sharing the same view, is still approachable right now.
I mean, look, it has to be pushed. It cannot be discarded. And the reason it has to be pushed is that in places like the United States, these are minority communities, Asians, African Americans, and so on. Regardless of where there are gaps, these kind of hostilities and so on, you can't give up on the fight to bring people together. It's a life and death issue, as you were saying, people are getting stabbed, beaten, and so on. One has to just continue to push. There's a real problem that there will be people in the civil rights movement who say, look, we don't want to touch anti-Asian violence right now because of the whole anti-Asian sentiment. That's a weak position. They should not be allowed to take that position. It's precisely when the heat is too much that solidarity is necessary. Take a risk, friends. Come out on the street and condemn this. Solidarity is a journey. It's not like just a thing that exists. You have to fight for it. Somebody that I respected a lot said, politics is a lot like brushing your teeth. You have to brush your teeth every day. You can't just brush it once and for the rest of your life, your teeth are clean. Every day you have to brush your teeth, Yeah. Politics is a lot like that. You have to do the same kinds of things over and over again to build trust, to build solidarity, to build understanding, to build respect. People forget, people come in, they think, it's a narrow politics. It's about, say, people of African descent being beaten by the police. No, wait a minute, friends. This is a wider issue. This is about human emancipation. It's not about, when you say Black Lives Matter, it's not merely that. It's about human emancipation. And you have to remind people, have the debate again and again and again. Right? Again and again and again. Not just once.
I would like to mention here that, quote, everything the government is doing for the others, for example, BLM and Stop Asian Hate, is socialism. Whatever the government is doing for them is social progress. So is that a motivation or a parameter pushing this reality till now?
What can one say? For the entirety of human history, we have seen people in power build vertical links with people who are not powerful, drawing them into their projects and so on. This has been there for the entirety of human history. It's sometimes through claims of ethnicity, claims of tribal allegiance, claims of language. We all speak the same language. Let's go fight against somebody who speaks a different language. The word barbarian, comes from that idea. I can't understand you. Bar. It's an onomatopoetic. It's a word that comes from the sound of what you imagine your adversary sounds like, the barbarian. In fact, in many languages, the stranger, words for the stranger means those who don't have a tongue. Anas, don't have a tongue. We don't understand you. You don't have a tongue. You can't speak. So there are many ways in which powerful entities vertically created alliances against other people rather than the ability to create horizontal alliances of ordinary people against the powerful. Vertical alliances became and continue to become important because, you see, if I'm a hundreds of millionaire, I am able to use some of my money to create the institutions of vertical alliances. I can create a militia group, fund some crazy militia group where they walk around saying the greatest threat to the United States is people who are gay. And so then I'm diverted to that. I'm not thinking about the fact that my factory boss has just fired me. I just am focused on I hate gay people or I hate Chinese people or whatever. And we have to fight intellectually, politically. We have to fight against this kind of anti-human attitude. You got to explore with people the fact that, look, don't get sucked into these vertical canyons. We've got to build a horizontal understanding of internationalism, got to build a horizontal understanding of basic human decency. Actually, the real connection that we have is as people. It's a horizontal connection. And I want more of that. I want more of that. I want us to reject these vertical things where we get used by agendas that are not our own. What's the advantage for somebody in Boston who's white to hate somebody who's Chinese? Beating somebody up or stabbing a Chinese American woman doesn't get you anything, friend. It's a worthless anti-human activity. Don't do it. Don't do it. Simple as that. You want to improve your way of life? Fight to eradicate poverty in the United States, to build public transport, to build good public services and so on. The T in Boston is the train service, which you have probably been on a lot. I've been on the subway in Beijing. Beijing subway is not new. It's old. I find it much better than the Boston subway and certainly better than the New York subway.
我现在在中国中车的美国工厂，他们在美国坐地铁车上，他们正在卖给 Boston 的城市，以后他们也卖给 Chicago 和 LA。
In fact, I'll tell you, I found the subway in Tehran much better than the New York subway. It's better maintained, They maintain it despite the sanctions. And some of it has to do with Chinese assistance to the Iranians. Anyway, the point is, let's learn how to make a better subway system. Are there lessons to be learned? Can high-speed rail technology from China be, sent to India, for instance? India desperately needs high-speed rail. Would it be possible? Well, first you have to dial down the political tensions. That means you have to build trust among people. That means Chinese and Indian people have to understand that both of them, firstly, are Asians. Hello, divided only by mountains. Secondly, are both human beings, last time I checked, on the planet Earth. So, people have to build trust. This anti-Indian, anti-Chinese sentiment has to go. It's a real waste of our energy. The more anti-Indian, anti-Chinese sentiment that grows, the greater the advantage to the West. We've seen this for 200-300 years. They have played us against each other for a very long time. I'm afraid our governments, I don't know what Mr. Modi is thinking, but there are more advantages for India to have a closer link to the Belt and Road project than for India to go into the IMF thing even more deeply. Those are the choices. But I'm afraid this anti-feeling, what if there was no Himalayas? Would we have had closer relations? I don't know.
Well, a lot of my audience love you, and most of them are in young age, possibly college students. If I'm asking you to give them some advice how to be better themselves, what advice would you?
Well, I have children of that age. My 21-year-old is in college. My 16-year-old is going to go to college soon enough. They're both terrific girls. They do super things. And the only advice I can give other people is what I tell my own children. Otherwise, it's not fair, right? I mean, why should I have one advice for my children, other fathers? I don't believe in nepotism in that sense. Secret advice for the kids. The main thing I would say is that, the world economy is in serious turmoil. So I think that people need to make themselves interesting people. Be an interesting person. Be curious. Read things. Learn things. The goal of life isn't to become 100 millionaire in whether it's in renminbi or it's in dollars or euros or whatever. It's irrelevant. The goal in life is not to make money, my friends. The goal in life is to be a decent, interesting person. If you're a decent and interesting person, things will happen for you. People will be attracted to that. And I've told my children that for forever. Don't be boring. Be an interesting person and be a nice person. Don't be an unpleasant person. Try to be nice to people. It's important. Our world needs more interesting and nice people. We don't need millionaires. Frankly, we don't need more millionaires. We need to eradicate poverty and be nice to each other. What's wrong with that? I mean, I know it sounds stupid, but it's the only advice I can give because it's the only advice I give my children. My elder daughter wants to be a comedian and an actor. She's very funny. She'll do what she does.
All right. Okay. Appreciate your time, Vijay.